Rams House, welcome into our day one draft grades video presented by Prize Picks here on the Rams Report. Obviously, we all know what the Rams did on night one. Ty Simpson, quarterback out of Alabama, goes at the 13th overall pick. There was no trade down. There was no Mekhi Lemon, no Jordan Tyson, no Carnell Tate, all the receivers we talked about. Instead, we get a QB. We're going to dive deep on Ty Simpson here, and we're also going to do a round 2 and 3 mock draft to talk about what might be coming next after the Ty Simpson pick. But before we get to that, I got to remind you guys, we are covering every single pick that the Los Angeles Rams make throughout this draft. Hopefully the rest of them are significantly better than Ty Simpson and significantly more fun to cover, but make sure you're locked in because no matter what this team does, no matter how fun the picks are to talk about, no matter how much I like them or dislike them, we get here and we make a video for you guys every single time there is Rams news, but especially around the draft. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We are your one-stop shop for Rams draft news and Rams draft rumors as this thing is getting going. But this one caught us off guard, guys. I'm not going to lie at all. The pick of Ty Simpson, I said this in our initial roundup. This really caught me off guard. I graded it an F in that video. I'm sticking with that grade. It is still an F pick. But I think when you listen to what Les Snead and Sean McVay have to say about Ty Simpson to explain the pick, you can start to see the vision a little bit. I'm starting to see the vision just a little bit. I haven't fully come around on this thing. But what Les talked about is the mobility that Ty Simpson can bring. He said, the first thing he said when they asked him, what attracted you to Ty Simpson? We're looking for our next quarterback to bring an element of mobility to this offense, something they have not had in their prior two quarterbacks under Sean McVay. Jared Goff is not a mobile threat. Matthew Stafford is not a mobile threat, especially at this point in his career. Ty Simpson definitely offers you that versatility. Obviously, the rushing stats will not blow you away if you just go look at the college box scores, but remember, they take sack yardage out of that. So even the fact that he's in the positives speaks to the fact that he is a rushing threat. And when you turn the tape on with this dude, you absolutely see it show up. It's in the scramble game, but Alabama was also able to design QB run game for him as well. So they get that element of it. Something else they really liked about Ty Simpson was the journey he's been on at Alabama. Obviously, he sat behind guys his first couple seasons. He did not get an opportunity to start there until this year. That will mirror the journey he goes on with the Rams. He will not be a day one starter. We know that. They wanted a guy who was prepared for that and who responded well to a loss opening the season against Florida State. And lastly, I know some of you guys are curious about this. What will his day one depth chart status be? McVay answered that question for us right off the bat. He is going to compete with Stetson Bennett for that QB2 job to potentially be the backup. And we'll dive more into that conversation a little bit more on the back half of today's video about what might be coming next there as we get into the mock portion as well. But I want to hear from you guys. I've given it an F. I gave this pick an F. But I want to know, what do you think about the pick of Ty Simpson? Give me your honest grade of the Ty Simpson selection in the comments below as we continue through this video. I'll say it again. I've said it a million times. It's an F. I don't like this pick. At the end of the day, I can't get there with drafting a guy who is likely to be QB3. And that's really all there is to it. You're a win-now team. You're a team that is supposed to be competing for Super Bowls. You just selected a guy that might be QB3. And we'll talk about why you'll be QB3 in just a minute. But before we do, we got to give a shout-out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is Prize Picks. Guys, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. If you love daily fantasy sports or you just want to make watching sports even more exciting, you've got to try out Prize Picks. It's a great time to get started on Prize Picks, too, because playoff basketball is in full swing and the baseball season is getting underway as well. And there's just no better place to cash in on all that action than Prize Picks. It's super easy to play. You just pick 2 to 6 players and you select more or less on their stat projections, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and others across all sports. For example, if you're more of a baseball guy, you could choose from hits, home runs, and strikeouts even. Prize Picks also has super awesome social features. They allow you to easily tail or fade your friends or your favorite creators, including me and my producer, Coop. We're both on there. I'm Jackson Durham with no spaces. So if you guys want to drop a follow, you can see all my lineups. You didn't have to put your own together. Here's one I've got going for this upcoming NFL season. We're going with the more on Dak Prescott's touchdowns, and we're going with the more on Joe Burrow's yards. So you guys can tell me on this lineup. You can fade me on this lineup. Whatever you do, just do it at Prize Picks. And if you're a new user, download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA. When you play your first $5 lineup, you'll receive an extra $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. The clickable link to download the app is in the comments and the description below. So let's wrap up on Ty Simpson before we get into the mock. One last thing I want to say here. One last question that I have with this pick that still remains to be answered. Does this team still want a veteran quarterback to back up Matthew Stafford? That's something they've vocalized repeatedly this offseason is, hey, we want the backup to be an experienced guy. Ty Simpson has 1 year of college starting experience. You cannot call him an experienced guy even at the college level, much less at the NFL level. He's a brand new rookie. So that's not the answer if that's what you're looking for. But if you do go get a veteran guy, where does that leave Stetson Bennett? Most likely off the roster, in my opinion, which, hey, that's kind of where he should be, if you're asking me. I'm not a Stetson Bennett guy, and I never have been. I won't lie about that to you guys. But let's turn the page to day 2, because I think as Rams fans, we're collectively ready to move on from day 1. This did not go the way we wanted it to. That's okay. We can get back on day 2. There's still a lot of draft left. And if you get D'Angelo Ponds at 61, which it just happened for me in my mock draft simulation, so don't tell me it ain't realistic. Don't tell me he can't slide, because he is shorter. That, I think, at the end of the day, could scare some NFL teams away, could have him there for you on the board at 61. And my goodness, would he be a perfect addition for what you need long-term. I think he could really fill a role for you at nickel corner. Maybe that does end up moving Quentin Lake back to safety full-time, but I don't hate the idea of that if we could have D'Angelo Ponds as our nickel corner. I think D'Angelo Ponds offers you day 1 depth, offers you a day 1 rotational guy, but something McVay talked about today on ESPN The Fan, something that maybe indicated to me, like, are we going corner in round 1? But of course it didn't end up going that way, is you can never have enough depth in the corner room, and you can never have enough depth along the offensive line. I don't think the Rams are done yet, and I do think this is something they want to address early. The corner depth to this class is not there in the way it is with receivers. So if they're comfortable waiting on receiver out of the first round, why not be comfortable waiting on it out of the second round? There's depth to this class, and I think a guy that they'll really like will be there for them at 94, and that's Dejon Stribling, someone we've talked about a good deal on this channel, someone who in some ways I think you could say is the poor man's Mekhi Lemon. He is a great yards after the catch threat, exactly what we talked about Lemon bringing to this offense. He's a little bigger and a little taller than Mekhi Lemon is as well. So if you didn't like that about Lemon's game, well, hey, problem solved here with Dejon Stribling. He's incredibly experienced. He's played a lot of football, going all the way back to Washington State. He was an Oklahoma State Cowboy, which I'll let that slide as a Boomer Sooner fan. But he finished at Ole Miss with 2 back-to-back really productive seasons of over 1,600 yards receiving, or in those combined seasons. So again, another guy that could come in and be immediately productive. This is something, and it seems to have been the truth, that Todd McShay, said about the Rams' potential draft strategy is what's the difference to them between a Dejon Stribling and a Mekhi Lemon. In this offense, they create talent at the receiver position, and that seems to be the belief here. I did not believe that was what the Rams were going to attack this as. I thought Sean McVay would want the opportunity to take that exciting weapon like a Mekhi Lemon, but it seems like they trust their development process. They trust Yarbs in the receiver room, who, of course, has developed a bunch of great talent, so why wouldn't they trust him at the end of the day? And I think he can develop another one in Dejon Stribling as the next weapon for this offense, as the next day 2, day 3 receiver that we've seen so much success with. We could kind of continue that pattern here with Stribling. But let me know, who do you want to see the Rams take on day 2 of the draft? Give me some names in the comments, guys. You could go with Stribling. You could go with Ponds if you like my ideas. But if you got anybody else that you are dying to see this Rams team take at 61 or at 93, I know, or 94, excuse me. I know it was a rough night for Rams fans. By and large, pretty upset right now. I'm there with you. I resonate with that. I absolutely do. But I also think it's worth noting, Ty's a Ram now. At the end of the day, whether we like that or not, he's a Ram. He's going to be wearing the horn on his helmet. We got to rally behind this kid at the end of the day. We got to support him. So that's what we'll do here on this channel. We'll try to get around to this pick. Even though we're not excited about it, even though there might have been better things available, we got to see what the Rams have left in this draft. And we're always going to be Rams fans and cover the Rams here. So stick with us. We'll be here all draft.